Thank everybody for being here this morning and taking a few minutes out of your day. My name is Bonnie. I'm the Director of Operations here for the town of Bonnyville. I'll just go over the agenda shortly here. So we're going to have an acknowledgement of tree land and a proclamation for the town read by Byron Johnston. Safety message will be from our safety manager, Kingsley LeBlanc. Then we're going to have a guest speaker sharing a bit of a personal story for us. And that'll be Tracy. We'll have a few words from our MLA, Scott Sear, and representation from the MD, and Bill Parker from the City of Cold Lake. And then we'll have a message from myself, depending on time, and we'll lower the flags at 11 o'clock outside, have a moment of silence, and then we'll have some coffee and donuts and a little visit. So without further ado, I'll get Byron to come up here.
Thank you for everybody for attending. This is always a well-attended event. It's a very important event that we recognize the National Day of Mourning. So we'll start off with our land acknowledgement. As we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nations and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continue to enrich our community. So I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas on April 28th, 2024, people across Canada will recognize a day of mourning for all workers who have been killed, injured, or disabled at their places of work. Whereas it is with deep sadness that 165 workers in Alberta died as a result of workplace injury or illness in 2023. Whereas on April 28, 2024, the town of Bonnyville with the Lakeland region will join Albertans in remembering those workers injured or killed on the job and honor their memories by committing to working together to prevent workplace injuries. Therefore, I, Byron Johnson, Deputy Mayor of the town of Bonnyville, do hereby proclaim April 28th, 2024 as a National Day of Mourning in the town of Bonnyville. Thank you.
Kingsley, you're up.
Morning, everybody. My name is Kingsley LeBlanc. I'm the Corporate Health and Safety Manager for the town of Bonnyville. Just have a few words here to kind of reflect on the day of mourning. So I'll just go through this as quickly as I can here. So fatalities in the workplace represent the most tragic and severe consequences in inadequate safety measures and negligence. Each fatality is not just a loss of life, but also a profound disruption to families, communities, and entire organizations. Understanding the causes of workplace fatalities, implementing preventative measures, and fostering a culture of safety are essential steps in mitigating these tragic events. Firstly, workplace fatalities underscore the critical importance of prioritizing safety above all else. Wherever caused by accidents involving heavy machinery, falls from heights, or exposure to hazardous substances, and fatalities severe as stark reminder of the potential dangers present in the workplace. Organizations must recognize that protecting the lives of other employees is paramount, and cutting corners on safety protocols can have devastating consequences. Workplace fatalities necessitate, through investigations and the analysis of underlying causes and preventive failure of incidents, conducting root cause analysis, helping identify systematic failures whenever the system from the inadequate safety procedures, equipment, and malfunctions or human error. By addressing these underlying issues and implementing corrective actions, organizations can prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. In conclusion, workplace fatalities represent a profound tragedy that highlight the critical importance of prioritizing safety, implementing prevention measures, and fostering a culture of vigilance and accountability. By learning from past incidents, taking proactive steps, and addressing risks, organizations can create a safe work environment where employees can perform their duties without fear or of being injured. Thank you.
Tracy, did you want to come up and share your personal story? I'll stand with you.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Goatskeeper. I am the Executive Assistant for the Town of Bonnyville. Today we gather together to remember and honor those who have been injured or have tragically lost their lives due to a workplace accident. April 28th is recognized as a National Day of Mourning, a day where we reflect on the lives that have been cut short and renew our commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of all workers. For me, this day holds a deeply personal significance. On this day, we remember my much-loved nephew, Gregory Podolsky, who was taken from us far too soon at the young age of 29. Greg was not just a statistic, he was a vibrant, passionate young man who lived life to the fullest. Greg was a skilled journeyman welder, following in the footsteps of his uncle, my brother. He had a passion for his work, a love for his family and friends, and an infectious laugh that could have brightened even the darkest days. His presence is deeply missed, and his memory will forever be cherished. Tragically, Greg's life was cut short in a workplace accident while he was working in Nipissing. He was preparing to weld a tank that had been cleared for work that day, but should not have been released. The tank exploded, and Greg, along with his coworker, lost their lives in the blink of an eye. Greg's death serves as a painful reminder of the importance of workplace safety. No family should have to endure the heartache of losing a loved one due to preventable accidents. We owe it to Greg and all those who have lost their lives to ensure that every worker returns home safely at the end of the day. As we gather here today to mourn the loss of Greg and countless others, let us also renew our commitment to creating safer workplaces, and let us honor their memory by advocating for stronger safety measures, by holding employers accountable for their workers' well-being, and by ensuring that no life is lost in vain. Greg may no longer be with us, but his spirit lives on in the hearts of those who knew and loved him, and today we remember him, we honor him, and we pledge to never forget. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Thank you, Tracy. It's never easy to get up here and share a personal story like that. It brings back a lot of memories, so I appreciate it. Yes, next, I would ask the MLA Scott Sear to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. It's important to remember those that have fallen or have been injured. I can say that Tracy's story rings true. Having worked up at Nipissing myself, my family actually is from Slave Lake, and I've grown up in Slave Lake. So you get to know a lot of the individuals that work up in that area. It was common in my dad's time to see injuries and deaths, and they were called accidents, and families were clearly impacted. And you know, the loss of income, the families having to deal with these tragic consequences was something that Albertans said no. And in the end, we've seen a real change in how we view an accident or a death on the workplace. This is something that we don't see as it was their fault or machinery. It's how can we prevent that from ever happening again? And I'll say that, well, Tracy's got an example. My uncle Francis was actually also impacted up in that Nipissing area. There was H2S. They went down to a confined space, and 3 of his friends died that day, from my memory. And my uncle also was dropped by H2S in that same day, and he lived for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, he just passed here recently, but with terrible migraines that came along from being dropped by H2S. There's things that could have been prevented and are prevented today that weren't prevented from far ago. And you know what I will say is that when we find and we learn from these mistakes, this is how we ensure that it doesn't happen going forward. So thank you, Tracy, for sharing your story, and thank you for telling us how it is important that we follow the rules that are put before us, because these policies are set in place to protect others. And it's so important that we remind each other of that every day. So on this day of National Mourning, let's just remember those that have fallen, those that are injured, and for those that are going to be fallen or injured, let's work together to make sure everybody goes home safely at the end of the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Scott. Woodbury is, or no, maybe Barry's not here. Do I have somebody from the MD here? Representation from MD? There we go. Thought you looked familiar.
I wasn't prepared to speak today, but so it'll be short and sweet. Just thank you everybody for coming out and for your continued support to keeping workers safe. It's very important. And also thank you to all the first responders. I see the police and the peace officers and the fire, and EMS was here, but I must have got a call and had to leave. So thank you to everybody for the continued work you do in our community, keeping people safe. And on behalf of the MD and Council.
Thank you. Bill from the City of Cold Lake.
Good day, and this is a very important day for me and from the City of Cold Lake. We have now encouraged a safety officer there to look after all the instances that we have, and we are now actually within the city fairly close to being zero. It's been a struggle, but we look at every incident that takes place and we evaluate it to determine whether we can make it safer or make it better. We encourage a lot of input. Personally, for me, some of you may know, but I spent 25 years as an RCMP, and during that period of time, I lost two members. One was my roommate, and another one was a very good friend. I had another person that was a member, and he is now handicapped for the rest of his life, all resulting accidents that took place there. And additionally, a very good friend of mine who happened to be a next-door neighbor in Cold Lake was transferred out, and a week later he was killed. So it's something that I personally attend to, and when I was volunteered last night to come here today, it kind of struck home. So again, today has a very personal meaning for me as well. But from the City of Cold Lake, we like everyone to look at every incident, whether it be at home, whether it be at work, or wherever it is, and to evaluate whether or not it can be done safely and without injury. And that's basically the message we put forward to our people and to our people that are working with us and for us. So keep that in mind as you go forward. And from the City of Cold Lake, we say thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anybody from Cold Lake First Nation here that would like to get up and say a few words? I hear crickets, so I'll take that as a no, which is okay. I have a few things that I wanted to say quickly here. So when I started here in, 2014, I came as a safety manager. So I had all of the departments kind of get together and go through what they thought was important in the place where they work, what they wanted from their employer, and what they wanted out of safety. So we came up with core values that we established, and we've incorporated them into our employment policy. So we have number one, people. People are our biggest asset, should always be treated with respect and recognized for their contributions. Continuing education and training is a necessary investment for a talented and valued workforce. Second is integrity, always do the right thing, be honest and trustworthy, be considerate of other employees and the public. Number three, teamwork, working together, sharing knowledge and skills, building a resilient workplace and community. Cooperation and innovation brings strength and inspires others. Number five, communication. Information shared across departments and to the public creates a cohesive sense of community. And number six, The town of Bonnyville will ensure that people are always the highest priority on all job sites. Production, schedule, and cost will never be placed before safety. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what Public Works does, I'm sure most people are, but I wanted to read you some of the hazards that we deal with every day that people don't think about. So working in traffic, that's always a big one. Working in or around heavy equipment, extreme cold, extreme heat, reduced visibility, overhead power lines, underground utilities, working at heights, working near open excavations, working in trenches, working in confined spaces, hazardous and explosive environments, working with chemicals and biohazards, hidden hazards, which is a lot of times people in general. There could be stuff, for example, in parks is a big one. The flower beds, all of that kind of stuff where we think, oh, they're just out deadheading the flowers, and there's needles, there's knives, same with the parks. So there's a lot of stuff that we come across that people don't realize. And we have mitigations in place for that as well, but it's something to think about. Drug paraphernalia such as needles, sharp knives found in parks and flower beds. Aggressive dogs, here's another one. So aggressive dogs entering into people's residence, whether it's to fix something in their home, utility related. You never know what you're walking into. And agitated or confrontational persons, which happens sometimes if they're upset about something else and they see a familiar Public Works face and they want to tell them about their issues. So for the most part, I want to reiterate that most of the public are pretty good to deal with. So every year we have summer students joining our Public Works group, many of them returning over a 3-year term until they've completed their post-secondary education and start the journeys into their chosen career paths. It's my job as the director to ensure that our health and safety program is being followed, and it is also my job to ensure that supervisors are communicating hazards and mitigations relative to the work that they will be doing, as well as providing training and ensuring that they are signing off people that are competent in completing their tasks. It is all of our job here at the town to ensure that we have the tools and knowledge to intervene if necessary to prevent incidents and injuries. Interventions aren't always perfect. They may cause temporary hard feelings, but at the end of the day, they're still going home, and that's all that really matters. All of our staff are important, and I always encourage them to speak up if they feel unsafe. If I have to shut it down an entire block, if they need to do street repairs, then that's what I'll do. If I get somebody calling in complaining, I can easily justify that because our people come first. And I would rather take 10 of those phone calls than make the other kind that's where you're calling somebody telling them that their spouse or their child is at the emergency or worse. Today is about renewing our commitment to safe workplaces. We are all safety leaders and we need to own it. Continuing to intervene, participating in safety programs, and sharing close calls and incidents are powerful tools that will continue to have a positive impact in our workplaces. And that is all I have. It's almost 11, so we can head out in 5 minutes or so, and we'll go lower the